loneliness was even more exasperated.
This episode is brought to you by
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Mick. And right next to me is Adrian Pangilinan. How are you doing?
Hello, palakpakan!
Yay! We have a live audience today. Isn't that awesome?
Thank you so much for having me. Why am I shy right now? I'm sorry, it's been a minute, but thank you again for being able to squeeze me in before I drive to Las Vegas tomorrow at the time of filming for the Las Vegas Filipino Short Film Festival. So
Yes,
thank
and
you.
so, oh my gosh. So I'm curious, like I'm sure everyone is. So Las Vegas Short Film Festival.
Am I curious ba? Char. No, okay, kidding aside. So from what I know about the Las Vegas Filipino Short Film Festival, hello Kuya Felipe, thank you for accepting me. This is their second year. Friends, filmmaker friends, Malu, Rando, Giovanni, they were both part of the inaugural edition last year. So this is their second one. And so when I saw it last year, I could have applied, but it was too late. So for about a year now, I really manifested wanting to be a part of it. And I guess if it's okay, I guess I'll just speak about my experience on the application process too. So I think there was over 66 short films that they actually showed it online of who applied, and I saw a lot of familiar faces and films, and I didn't think I was gonna get in because I knew that the competition was tight. But then thankfully we made the top 40.
So how many films are being shown in the festival?
Yes, 40.
40.
Yes, sorry, top 40 out of 40. So they chose 40.
What is your film about?
It's my film about, yes.
First of all, what's the title?
Yes, so the name of my film is Ang Huling Sayaw, The Late Checkout. But actually in a direct translation, it's called The Last Dance. So the late checkout context is about, so the short film is about is basically a hookup experience during the pandemic, towards the later part of the pandemic, which was really digs deep into my personal experiences, just looking for connection, looking for a way to stay sane, just really looking to connect. And I know that obviously sa mga kababayan natin dyan, the word hookup doesn't necessarily have a good connotation, but in this film, I promise you it does, because it really explores the theme of longing to be seen, to be heard. Like, in many ways, what we're doing is, like what the film is about, we're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say we're hooking up, because we're not, but it's, when you really break it down, like what do you do in a hookup? In the most pure, most wholesome way. So
You're connecting, like we're connecting right now, like we're connecting to other people, right?
Yes.
But is that more of a love connection?
yes, great question. In my film, actually, I think it's more universal. Like for me, personally, going into it, I thought it was gonna be more like love story, but it actually ends up being just more universal, meaning just the need to connect in general.
The pandemic is a really good backdrop for connecting because we lost that personal connection. A lot of us lost that personal connection, that physical touch. A lot of us couldn't be in the same room and be able to talk to each other, right? Speaking of the pandemic, I actually got to know of Adrian during the pandemic when I was doing my podcasts.
Yes.
That's when I first
What's it
saw
called? Mic
your
Diaz
name.
Presents. Finally, I'm here. Thank
You're
you.
here. Thank you
Hey,
so much.
It's real.
Oh my god.
It's real.
It's real. You're here, right in front of me, which is awesome, right?
Can I also just say na finally my momentum is kicking in. But I'm a fan of you and your work. So I think that's also part of my dreaming and manifesting is like to be here. You know?
I know, and this is
Happening.
literally, I mean, we only talked about this a couple of days ago, and I said, Adrian, do you have time to be in my podcast? I'm like,
Bye.
Ate Mick, did I just manifest you? I'm like, what?
But this is also years in the making, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember I think we have been trying to have each other on our own personal shows since lockdown actually.
Yeah, and we've tried to connect so many different times. Like,
Yes.
speaking of connecting,
Yeah,
right?
and yes.
Yeah, and so that is so awesome. Thank you for being here with us. But going back to Ang Huling Sayaw, why that title?
Good question. So for me as a writer, director, but mainly when I write my films, I like to come up with a title first. I like to come up with a title first before starting anything. So I'm trying to remember where Ang Huling Sayaw came from. I think it's a blur in this moment, but I was exploring different titles, and actually maybe because I knew that I wanted to incorporate slow dance. Oh wait, no, just kidding. I know now. So another inspiration that I got from this film. We're going deep, personal. Okay. Yeah. So I. Not conscious. So let's just say there was this one time I was with someone that I was seeing, and we, after, chuk-chakan, nag-slow dance kami. Nag-slow dance. We slow dance, and it was very tender. It was very sincere. Like, I think hugging, and then obviously in this context, it's more kind of slow dancing. For me, as a dancer, the filmmaker, I think that really like speaks volumes to me. Ang Huling Sayaw. Then the late checkout was actually a tag that I wanted to add to preface with kind of like to help preface the story even more because it's in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what I mean, like, hello, can we please get a late checkout?
Mm-hmm. You wanted to say in more.
Have you done that? Have you?
Not really.
Oy, ate, wag ka na dyan magsalita. That was not the question I was gonna ask, but I was gonna ask, have you ever asked for a late checkout?
When I'm trying to fix stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. Going back to so earlier we were talking about we're actually from the same town.
Oh yes.
We're from the same hometown. Can you imagine?
Yes. Saan?
Mandaluyong. So
Same.
shout out to all the
Mandalunians. No, just kidding, I don't know.
No, the Mandalorians. From the people in Mandaluyong, our hometown in Mandaluyong, Metro Manila. So for those who don't know where Mandaluyong is, it's at the very center of Metro Manila. It's in between San Juan and Makati and Pasig, and it's near Quezon City as well. So it's
Yes.
right in the heart of Metro Manila.
Yeah.
Right? But going back to that, when you were a kid, you're multi-talented, multifaceted. You're an actor, a dancer, a filmmaker, a writer, a podcast host. And you dance, obviously, because your film is about slow dance. What was it like when you were growing up in the Philippines? Were you encouraged to go that path, or were you encouraged to go somewhere else?
Yeah. Thank you for all the nice things that you mentioned. I admit I don't remember so much of my childhood anymore because I think when we moved, when we had, or for me, I guess it was always part of the plan, and I told my parents this, I'm always forever thankful for them for choosing to uproot us here. But I feel like it. Before I answer your question, so I wanted to prelude to the context that since it was so shocking for me to leave, I love being in the Philippines. I love being there, and the fact that we just moved all of a sudden, I felt like kind of selective memory. The trauma, the trauma of suddenly leaving and starting new. I'm very convinced that the trauma in that caused me to have a very selective memory of being in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
But
How old were you back then?
I was 9, so that was like over 20.
You were really young.
That was almost like 25 over, going over a quarter. That's more than half my half my life. But from what I remember being like a lot of my life playing outside in the sa neighborhood natin sa M Cruz, being a hood rat, running around. Lagi-lagi ako pinapagalitan kasi lagi-lagi pawis playing with my neighbors. I grew up watching a lot of because of that too, because our neighbor wasn't safe actually. That's when I got into TV. Like I grew up watching a lot of like ABS-CBN content. I grew up watching a lot of like soap operas. I remember Mula sa Puso, Saan Ka Man Naroroon. They're currently playing it on YouTube at the moment actually. Pangako Sa'yo. Just so I became. So actually that's gonna bring me to the next part of your question. So because of those experiences, that's actually kind of what led me to eventually be interested in entertainment overall. Because of watching TV, like not being able to go outside.
Did you ever have an inclination or some kind of aspiration of being an actor?
Yes, not necessarily because of like just wanting. Well, okay, fine. I'd be like if I said I didn't. But I think as I got older, it became more deeper than just like the standard reasons of I just want to see myself on TV. But I want to see myself on TV, especially being here in America because of representation. I want to see people that look like myself, my stories. I think that's why I also eventually became a filmmaker.
That is so awesome to want a bigger and higher purpose in all of that. What was more comfortable for you, being behind the scenes or being in front? You as an actor, you're a podcast host, you're out there in front of the camera, right?
And I'm back. Thanks for having me. You know what? It depends on the season of my life. I will say, as of now, I enjoy being behind the camera. I enjoy hiding, but still being able to do the same work that I get to do. I mean, I think a lot of my work now is more on producing. Though, I think for the right projects, for the right opportunities, I will be more than glad to step up and be in front of the camera. Because that's what I did growing up. I grew up dancing. I grew up being like wanting to be center stage. But now that I'm a little bit older and have somewhat become very shy, introverted, I think I really enjoy being behind. I enjoy hiding.
What is it about writing and thinking about other people being in front of the camera and telling stories, whether it's your story or whether it's inspired by something? What is it about writing that made you want to make a film? Not everyone has a talent for writing, let alone screenwriting for films or for TV. What is that about?
Thank you. I will say that television is still something I need to foray into the near future. So fingers crossed, TV.
Manifest.
Yes, TFC, come on. But I think for me, I've just always enjoyed writing in general, and I'd like to think that I was good at it because of actually being able to study. But I did lean more towards creative writing. So that's actually my foray into eventually screenwriting, which I had some classes for my minor at San Diego State. Go Aztecs, come on. But more than that, I will say that it's actually my need to just tell my own stories. So for context, actually this year technically marks my 10th year of making my first short film after like just watching a whole bunch of LGBT themed shorts on YouTube, and I was like, why is it so depressing? Like, first of all, they were always depressing, like tragic endings. It was overtly sexualized, and I felt like then those were neither the things that I could relate to, so that kind of kickstarted me to write my first film, which is called Hey Man. It's on YouTube, guys. It's my character chasing after a white man. So let's just say that we do get better.
We know quite a few people who are in the film industry. There are very few Filipinos who are in the film and entertainment industry in general. Take us through what it's like creating a film, because to me, it's still mind-boggling up to this point. Granted that we're in LA, we're in the heart of the entertainment industry. Like, can you take us through what happens? Obviously, it starts from you, because you're the writer. You're the one who has the story. How do you get all these people, all these resources all together and tell them what your vision is? And how does that happen?
Yes. Believe it or not, I think from you being a events producer and host and everything, you can make a film too, because it's just really about starting with your why you're doing it, and then the who is who you're doing it for, and the what is what do you need to bring. So in other words, I guess for your in this context, it does start with an idea, and then writing, and this is just me jumping all over the place. Funding, a lot of times, funding takes the longest before like a project can get greenlit. And then once that's greenlit, you start to bring people together: the cinematographer, the gaffer, the actors, and everything else. Director, the editor, and then you go into then you go into production, filming, and then you go into post production, which is editing, coloring, the music and sound, and it's really like the skeleton, Yes.
Where do you find the funding to create a film like yours? So yours is it a feature film, or how long is your film?
Yes, short film siya. Short film, short meaning under, I think if it's 89 or 90, or I think it's like if it's 89 minutes or less, it's considered a short. But if it's 90 or more, then it technically becomes a feature. But for your question about the funding, shout out to my executive producers for my film. Si Maria Isabel Lopez, si Julian Bataclan, and my best friend, Mary Jean Rabuyer. So those are the three people that believed in what I can do, and they were like, how much do you need to get this done?
It takes so many people to come together for one vision. So how did you convince everyone?
Wait, hold on, I forgot one more. Gina of Inner Ventures, thank you for also producing. For me, I just asked. I just asked because by the time that I made the film, I had already collaborated with a lot of my good friends within the last couple of years, and it was a very intentional connection that I was building. So I knew that I could only use this card once, meaning, so going back to funding, actually all of the money just went towards traveling, and also the location, food, and some equipment. But everyone else, they did my film out of love for the story, for me, and the community.
You mentioned about LGBTQ stories from a long time ago, like are tragic or it's sad or it's done in a more like not so positive light.
Yes.
In this case, like given that there's a lot of attention given to AAPI stories, there's a lot of attention now that Filipinos are getting, and LGBTQ issues are out in the open, right? A lot more people are talking about it. With you making this film, did you have that idea in mind? Did you have that backdrop of an LGBTQ story?
Yes. Excuse me. Sorry. So to answer your question, yeah, the story is actually loosely based from my from my experience, during lockdown, it's very personal. Maybe the reason why my eyes were getting a little tense is because I think maybe I'm getting emotional. No, but yeah, this is a very very personal story. I think I shared this with you before we started filming. Was my need to survive during a time where loneliness was even more exasperated. You know, like if I'm being honest, that's already something that I've struggled with growing up, and just imagine what the pandemic did to us, and not to like, I mean it's a very long story, but what happened was it started like one day during the pandemic. I was just on one of the dating apps looking, and then long story short, I got invited to someone's hotel, and then so this kind of what really kick-started this. But I guess I also want to take the time to highlight like my story doesn't just tell my own personal experience, but it potentially tells the story of lonely people, homeless people, houseless people, sex workers, people that actually like have the need for safe, or anyone really needing safety, like having to like retreat to a hotel, like for whatever all of those things represent. Actually, I was just thinking about that yesterday, and I think that's what my film kind of sheds light to. It's deep.
It is. There's so much more to the title, The Last Dance, like your dance. To me, it's like kind of like a metaphor for life itself. Like, how do you dance given your circumstances? How do you dance with all these things that you're given? Does that mean you get a late checkout or not? I mean, can you stay longer?
Okay, I see what you did there. The title I will say is pretty interesting, because I feel like the title is not so literal to what the film is about, but I think
now I'm completely getting it. Yeah,
but I think in more sense what it represents, the different qualities of dance, and also to give some context to what the story is about. The main character, he is houseless, Andrew, played by my good friend Earl Paus. Hi Earl. He plays Andrew, who is a 30-year-old queer Filipinx person who ran away. So at some point he has to make a decision. By the end of the film, does he continue to run away from his problems, or does he,
face reality?
Not just face reality, but actually start to look and look at it in the eye and say, this is it.
And in some ways, it kind of goes back to what you mentioned earlier. During the pandemic, there's a lot of people who experienced loneliness and a lot of pain and struggle. But that also meant a lot of people, like some of us, experienced growth, and there's a lot of creativity and productivity.
Productions.
That's what we experienced. You and I both experienced that during the pandemic. There's you're like all alone and there's no one to connect to, but then there's like all these things in your head. They're like, oh, what if I can do this? Like, what if I do this or not? And of course, you came up with The Last Dance, right?
Actually, thanks for bringing that up. I also wanted to say too, a lot of people would come up to me and they're like, is that your story? And I mean, I tell them it's very loosely based. So it is. There are a lot of elements from what happened to me, and when they would realize that, a lot of them didn't know, except really a very very few close friends of that's actually what I was going through. So this film is very personal. Actually, now that I think about it, and for me to really not just make the story and put it out there, but for me to really take pride and speak up on letting everyone know that this did happen to me, And it continues to happen to more people, and it's not. It's sad, but it's not the end of the world. I guess is where we're getting to.
Given your past circumstances, if you had a friend now at this present day who would have a similar experience with loneliness and feeling outcast, what would you tell them?
Oh, that's a good question. I think what I would tell them is take it sometimes it's not even about taking it one day at a time. Sometimes it's taking it one moment at a time. 1 minute, 1 second, one snap at a time. But just to make sure or to try your best to find something in all of that makes you feel good and causes you to keep on living. Like actually ask yourself the reasons of like for me, and it's not like to get dramatic or anything, but like who or what do I have to get up for every single day? Because I mean honestly, loneliness is its own epidemic. So to really take it one day at a time. That could look different for everyone.
It's all making sense to me. It really is about mental health in a way, right?
Oh yes.
Like mental health and representation. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are experiencing some kind of challenges and struggles within their own selves, and they're not able to reach out to other people. Do you have any suggestions for them?
As someone that is currently going through that right now, just like if you're able to have a friend you can talk to, that's very helpful. Or if I recognize that not everyone even has that privilege to not just have friends or even that one person alone, but if you are someone that's actually in complete isolation, I say go to parks and surround yourself with people. Go definitely get that sun. Get those steps in. Really doing things that can help you absorb endorphins. I think the happy. It's I don't know. I don't think there is one set thing, but I think those few things have helped me. Because it's hard.
Yeah. It is hard. There's a lot of support from the people that we know, like our friends. There's a lot of support for films that our peers and people we know in the Filipino-American community here in Southern California give to each other. There's a community out there of filmmakers, of writers, actors, editors, directors, producers, and they all kind of get together. Are there any events that are coming up?
Yes, thank you. I think this might be the perfect time for me to plug my world tour. No, just kidding. My film festival tour called Ang Huling Tour. Just kidding.
It definitely won't be the last one.
Thank you. The Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival is happening from November 7 through November 17. That will be virtual, so for those that want to see my film online, that will be available. All of those informations will be available on my social media.
And I'm so proud of you, Adrian. There's so many good things that are happening. Like what you said earlier is about manifesting. You've been wanting to do a lot of these things for such a long time. So congratulations. And once again, for you who are watching out there, check out Adrian Pangilinan's social medias. He's on Facebook and Instagram. And what's your handle on Instagram?
Yes, thank you. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Edrian Penguino, EDRIAN PENGUINO. And then on Facebook, Adrian Pangilinan.
And thank you so much, Adrian, for being with us this afternoon. And don't forget, Ang Huling Sayaw, the last checkout.
Yes.
Right?
Yay.
Yay. Thank you.
Woo, you finished.
We'll see you soon, everybody.
Thank
See you in the
you.
next episode of Chat with Nick. Thank you, Adrian.
But
Thank
actually,
you so much.
I just want to say too, you're loved. You're always loved. Whether you can remember that in this exact moment or not, you're loved. Someone loves you. God loves you. A higher being loves you. So just know that. So
Thank you so much. And of course, we love you, Adrian. Thank you.
my flowers. Just kidding. I'm wearing it.
I'll give you a plant. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah. Time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah.
Don't miss out. Want to be seen? Want to be heard? Want lots of exposure? Ask us how.